Ready when you are.
Deep breaths.
Yeah, don't mess this one up again.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and thems, welcome back to another episode of Double Kick Bonus Level. My name is Patrick Sawyer. With me, as always, my incredible co-host. You know him as Terry Thompson. I know him as the Scranton High School 2014
Oh my
Mr. Most
god.
Popular.
Jesus Christ.
Please welcome Terry.
I listen, it's true. Mr.
It's
Most
true.
Popular, I've been riding that high ever since. I peaked, and it's been a downhill roller coaster going ever so fast ever since then.
It is interesting. It's I think the most fun anecdote about you because I think it's the one that you would hate to ever be brought up to you.
Yeah, listen, it's like to our listeners, like I knew a lot of people. I think I just interacted with a lot of different groups. That's all it was. And
Sure.
there were way more popular kids in that category, but they split the vote. That's what it was. There were like three of the really
Mhm.
popular kids, and they split the vote. And then I was
Mhm.
just like the one outcast. So everyone was like, oh, we know Terry, so might as well vote for him, I guess. So don't don't it's not real though.
Anybody who knows you in real life, though, knows that, that's probably not that true and that you actually did get a good chunk of those votes, but hey,
Maybe.
but
But
hey.
hey, listen, I don't want to toot my own horn.
Sure.
I'm just a regular person, Pat.
I just put
Don't
my
go.
shoes on
I'm
1 foot at a time like
one foot
everybody
at a
else.
time, like everybody else. Don't gas me up, baby. Whatever, whatever. What's going on, Pat?
Uh, Not much, dude. How are you?
I'm good, my man. I'm good. I'm ready to talk about what we have in store today. Um, you know, Judging by the episode title, I guess people already do know we're diving into The Last of Us season one.
That's right.
Later on, Last of Us is one of my. I'd say it's one of my favorite uh PlayStation IPs. It's not top of the list, but it's one that I enjoyed very much. Has a great
Mhm.
story, great gameplay, and diving into the TV series was pretty. It was a different experience. So I'm hyped to get into that. I'm hyped for the game you have prepared for us later.
That's right.
Um, and yeah, just very excited to get into this episode. Other than that, I'm good, man. Life keeps rolling on at such a fast pace, and we stay ever present in this circle of life, I guess, in our little food cycle ecosystem. I don't know, capitalistic regime, nation.
Such a wordsmith.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, what it really comes down to, Pat, is I wish
Mhm.
Pokemon would go back to sprites.
You
I think
know
that's what would
you
fix
know,
everything in our little world.
I think I think if life were that simple, then I think we'd all be okay.
I think so. Yeah. Once we split off into 3D, I think that's really where the timelines can like split off, and we went
Mhm.
down the wrong path. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want. I think I just want Blastoise to not just stand there with like his hands on his belly anymore, just lifelessly, like with a 3D model. I need some good 2D sprites work, man.
Yeah, yeah. You know what's fun for me is, watching Pokemon fans create these ROM hacks and, taking the, Pokemon who have debuted in 3D, in HD, and putting them in 2D sprites, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"God, this design looks so much better."
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it's really
so
cool to
much better.
it's cool to see how they interpret that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The one big thing for me was like Delphox.
Ugh.
I forget which ROM hack it was, but somebody made a 2D sprite of her. I'm like, wow, this like breathes so much more life into this Pokemon, which like I wasn't a huge fan of the 3D model because in X and Y, she's kind of just like standing there lifelessly. And I'm like, I want to like Delphox a lot, like a
Yeah.
fire witch Pokemon Fox. Like
Mhm.
that's so cool. But the 3D model just didn't do her justice. But I mean, anyway, Pat, I'm going down a tangent. We're not here to talk about Pokemon, right?
Okay, we could talk about Pokemon all day long. I get it.
I'm
But
saying
um big events in the world of gaming this week. Terry, we are a week out from the release of the Switch 2.
we
You are the
are.
only one I know who has a cot or has a unit. So
Hmm.
tell me all about it. What do you think of the Switch 2, Terry?
Pat, I'm liking it so far.
Okay.
It's it's cool to see Nintendo finally do like an iteration as their next console because Nintendo out of the big three, when they go from console to console, it's a hugely different thing. So
Mhm.
going from, I guess not hugely, going from NES to Super NES, kind of seems like a incremental
Yeah.
upgrade. But
Yeah.
going from the NES to Nintendo 64, and then from that to the GameCube, and GameCube to the
Yeah.
Wii, especially, it's like totally different things.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
as opposed to like the Xbox One going to Xbox Series X, it's like, oh, it's just a more powerful piece of hardware. The PlayStation and Xbox have just been doing like more powerful pieces of hardware lately. But it's cool to see Nintendo kind of just do what I think most of us wanted them to do was take the Switch, make it more powerful,
Yeah.
and then kind of just give us that. And that's really what we got, Pat. I've been messing around with Pokemon Scarlet, which is now running in 60 frames per second. It's not chugging along anymore. I've tried the Tears of the Kingdom patch running at 60 FPS. Loading times are crazy fast. I'm liking it a lot. I'm liking it a lot. Mario Kart World has been fun. I
Okay.
wouldn't say I'm loving it yet. I don't know if like the Nintendo's justification of $80 for the game has really, made a whole lot of sense. But all in all, I'm excited for Donkey Kong Bonanza later on. And I'm liking the console. It's a good upgrade. I wouldn't say, if you're not fiending for it right now, if you're not like a sicko like I am, it's justified to not get it right off the bat.
Yeah.
But no, whatever. I wish it was OLED though. I do wish it was OLED.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, the library for the Switch 2 isn't like as big as I want it to be yet. And I think that I know in like a year or two, they're gonna release Switch 2 OLED. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm probably just gonna wait for that if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I
I
will
agree.
say I have heard that this is the fastest selling Nintendo console of all time. Sold
Yeah,
3.5 million units in 4 days.
it's crazy.
It's pretty wild. It's more wild to me because I'm like, I can't even like I look it up and it's not available anywhere. You
Yeah.
can't find this thing.
Mhm. They did really well with, like, getting enough out there for that initial boom. I'll give them that. Like,
Yeah.
I had some problems, like, pre-ordering it. I was trying a couple different sites, and Walmart was the only one that really let me do it. Um, but once I got that pre-order, like, everything was set. Like, I didn't really have to worry. There's a couple I've seen online from a couple different people I follow that they have them, like, in stock at their Walmart or Target. But when I went up to our Walmart and Target, I didn't see them there. So it's
Yeah.
probably just regional. But yeah, it's 3.5 million, you said? Is that 3.5?
3.5 million in 4 days.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Crazy work. Absolutely.
I'm glad that you talked about Mario Kart World because like you brought the Switch 2 over for game night at my place last week, and it was a lot of fun. We had a good time.
Mhm.
I I do think that until you become like a master, like I've seen all these videos of people like figuring out how to like grind on the rails and like basically do like wall jumps and stuff like that. Until you
Mhm.
figure out how to do that, it's just kind of another Mario Kart game.
Yeah,
But like I think once you get really good at that, it's another level. But like for me, the term sweaty comes to mind just a little bit, you know?
sure.
I definitely think this Mario Kart encourages more sweat behavior,
Mhm.
if that's a
Mhm.
valid criticism. I don't know.
No, that's a valid criticism. We spent so long, like 10, 11 years with Mario Kart 8 that,
Yeah.
jumping into a new one, it's gonna have its, road bumps. road bumps in the road. It's gonna take some time to get used to. And yeah, it does feel a little sweatier.
Mhm.
Personally, I feel like you don't get as much boost from like drifting and
Yeah.
like the boosts on the ground. So it's a little harder to gain momentum. And again, there's 24 racers on the track. So I feel like I'm getting hit with a blue shell or not blue shell, but shells in general
Yeah.
every 3 seconds, bro. like
Mhm.
so it's a little more chaotic.
Sure.
The open world isn't as robust as I thought it was going to be. It's kind of just, something to roam around in. It's cool. It's definitely like a novelty. But it's fun. I like the outfits.
Mhm.
Um Racing as like the penguin and the cow is cute. It's
It's
funny.
fun. Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah. It's but again, it's new. I mean, it's gonna take some time to get used to. Like we spent so long with Mario Kart 8. So long. That it's just we're just gonna have to play it for a while.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
I
our
think that's
this is
valid.
our 30, like this is the Mario Kart game for our 30s, Pat. Like think about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8 was the Mario Kart of our 20s, and now this is the one of our 30s.
Which, you know, is an interesting point that you bring up. And I'm curious to see your thoughts on this. You're obviously a bigger gamer than myself, and then I would say most people.
Mhm.
Is there a time where you think it's time to hang up the controller? Like, is
In
there an
general?
age where you're like, "All right, I'm probably not gonna be into this anymore?"
Is it personally or you like in general?
Give me both.
Personally, I mean, this answer might go for both.
Sure,
I don't think so. Like gaming to me is reading to you. It's
sure.
watching movies to like a movie head. It's
Mhm.
just it's my hobby. It's my preferred media to consume. And honestly, Pat, like I think about it sometimes and I'm like, I can't wait to retire so I have more time to play these games, you know? Like
Mm,
there are so many games coming out all the time that I look at some of them, I'm like, I'm never gonna have time for you. Maybe I'll play you when I retire or have more
yeah,
time, you know?
I get that.
Um, so it's just, it's my preferred media. So I don't think really there's going to be a time that I'm gonna hang it up. Even if both my arms get chopped off one day, I mean, I'll just play with my toes or something, There's some turn-based game with the toes, turn-based toes or something.
Turn-based toes. That's our spin-off
Turn-based
podcast.
yeah, absolutely. Tune in every third week. That's when we post turn-based toes. But yeah, no, that's kind of my answer. Do you feel like that
Yeah.
makes sense?
No, I totally get that. Like
Mm.
you said, I feel the same way about, like, books. I have a ton of stuff here that I
Oh, yeah.
haven't read yet. So it's for me, it's just like, what can I invest my time in now? And like what like we're busy. We're always
It's
busy.
it's hard. We're full-time jobs. You just bought a house.
Yeah. Yeah.
it I remember the days, like, being in high school, dude, and I would, like, get off of school, and it would just be Skyrim for, like, 10 hours after getting home, and on the
Yeah.
weekends all day. Don't know how good we had it back then.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
We
But, I
sound so
mean,
old.
we do. The curse of being an adult. You got the money to do and buy the things you want, but you do not have the time. But we
Yeah.
we we find our pockets here and there.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Um, speaking of racing games, I was kind of talking to you about this the other day when we saw each other, but Sonic Racing Cross Worlds.
Yeah, tell me about that,
Terry,
man.
have you seen the trailer for this game?
No, I haven't, and you know what? I don't really know much about it, so while you tell me about it, I'm gonna look it up.
So essentially, Sonic Racing, the equivalent to the Mario Kart for Sega, but it's got all your favorite Sonic characters, and everybody knows the deep lore that goes behind Sonic characters. I don't know the lore. I'm just kidding. But apparently, it's going to have like a bunch of different crossovers with like um, Persona 5, it's got, like, Steve from Minecraft,
It's got
um,
Minecraft, that's crazy. Hatsune
there
Miku.
yeah, Hatsune Miku. I hear SpongeBob is a
Oh my
potential cross
god.
link, you
Oh
know?
my god.
If I could drive around a racing like, a legit racing games, and I'm not talking, like, Nicktoons Racing because that's whack, but, like, in a boatmobile, Terry? Get me if I'm Sonic in a boatmobile, give me that. Give me
That
that.
this is gonna be just like when you were so excited for, what was it? The Nickelodeon version
Nickelodeon
of Smash.
All-Star Smash, yeah.
Yes, and you buy it, we play it once, and then
That's
we
right.
never play it again.
But you know what? You know what? For all the times that it's happened, because it's happened a couple times with, like, random games, I find validation in that when you guys are like, "Hey, Pat, buy No Man's Sky. We'll all play it together. It'll be a great, fun game." We play it one time, and then everyone's like, yeah, I'm probably gonna move on to something else." And
It's just
here
how
I
it
am,
goes.
and I finished the story in No Man's Sky.
Did.
I
You
found
did.
Artemis, man. I found
Mhm.
him.
I commend you for that, honestly.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I think they just released another update.
They did.
Another
Yeah.
Jesus, man. Come
Kim's
on.
Kim's always itching to go back, and I'm like, don't do it."
It's probably a whole different experience.
Oh, for sure, but I will lose her for months, and I can't have that.
Yeah,
I
absolutely,
just can't have that.
absolutely. But this, yeah, the Sonic Racing Crossworlds, I'm looking it up and it's interesting. It's
I
interesting.
definitely think it's worth playing, and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
and that I think is the biggest, like, determination if I want to buy a game. Like, if for
Mhm.
me, does it look worth playing? And this one might be. This one might be.
Would would you get it if it was 80 to $90?
No. No.
Right. We're living in a day and age where it's like, you don't know how much it costs anymore.
I know.
$70 isn't even like the baseline anymore. It's like could be more, could be less.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I mean, yeah, it looks fun. I'd be down for I mean, I love playing games with y'all, so I'd be down
You
for some
know?
Sonic Crossworlds. Sonic's one of those IPs, man, where I'm just like, I don't understand it. I never did. I played some of them when I was younger, but it did
Mhm.
not hook me whatsoever. But like the Sonic sickos out there are Sonic
Die
sickos,
Hard.
man.
Yeah, yeah.
Diehards, man.
I
So
think of, like, and this might be a hot take. This might be a hot take coming from old Pat Sawyer, but,
mm.
the people who are really into Sonic, to me, are, like, in a same boat as, like, the people who get, like, really into, like, My Little Pony. You know what I mean? Like, those that get deep into the brony lore, like,
Yeah, oh man, that might be an insult.
I I'm just saying. I'm just saying,
Not the
like,
my little bronies, dog.
look at I think the Sonic movies are all, like, pretty decent,
The Sonic movies are great.
and maybe one day we'll cover them for the pod, but, like,
Mhm.
I just you know?
Yeah, yeah. I this is gonna be controversial. I don't think any of the games are that good, to be honest with you. I don't enjoy the Sonic games whatsoever. And again, I don't know. It's just not for me. It's not for me. I play a lot of
Sure,
games.
sure.
Not every game has to be for everybody. Personally, I don't enjoy the Sonic games. I don't. You're supposed to go fast, and I feel like I keep going fast, and I crash into things every 2 seconds. I don't know what's
Right.
going on. I don't understand it. My brain don't work with it. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know. Movies are great though.
Sure,
Movies are great.
sure.
So let's play
Yeah,
some crossworlds one day.
I'm all about it. We
Yeah.
got some other video game news, Terry.
Mhm.
So again, with the success of the Switch 2, of course, everyone and their mother now wants to release a handheld device.
Sure.
Terry, we got Xbox coming out with the
Mhm.
ROG Xbox Ally,
Mhm.
and it's like a it's not really just them, like they're working with ROG, right?
Yep. Yep.
So I'm thinking, like, is that the next Xbox? Like, is that what Xbox is gonna be doing?
I think they're definitely still going to release another console in the future to
Mhm.
stay competitive with PlayStation and to just like satiate the audience they have. But that is definitely going to be a focus for them. These like third party handheld PC manufacturers that they are going to be partnering up with, and tailoring a new version of Windows to work better on these handhelds, because that's what it is, Pat. They're working on a newish version of Windows
Mhm.
to put in these handhelds. Like it kind of like cuts off the fat of the Windows operating system that works on desktops, so it frees
Yeah.
up more RAM to basically make the handheld work a little better. It boots right into like a new custom like Xbox OS, like front facing UI. And yeah, I think this is going to be a big focus for them in the future. The
Yeah.
Switch really opened up what console handheld gaming could be. The Steam Deck, took that to another level. And
Right.
really proved that PC handheld gaming is a thing that people want. And I
Mhm.
think slapping the Xbox logo onto it really like opens up a lot of possibilities. Because even with the Steam Deck, there are some compromises. It
Yeah.
it is really, it can be very plug and play. Just boot it up, buy a game, and play it. But there's some tinkering you still have to do here and there. And it's running Linux, so you can't play certain games on it, Pat. You can't play like Final Fantasy 14 online. You can't play
Oh, okay.
um Overwatch on it, I believe. I don't think there are certain games that like have like anti-cheat that doesn't work well with like Linux. So
Okay.
having a Windows-based handheld will open up those possibilities to play those kinds of games.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just like having a native Game Pass machine as well. Like you can download and play your Xbox Game
Right.
Pass games on there. That's like huge in and of itself because
Mhm.
um with the Steam Deck you can stream your Game Pass games, but you can't like download and play them locally. So I think just having that game changer.
Yeah, I like with the backing of, like, the parent company of Windows, I've always kind of been more surprised that Xbox doesn't do better. You know what I mean?
Xbox is always playing catch up. It seems
Right.
like they're always making bad decisions, and they're a very
Mhm.
reactionary company instead of being proactive with
Right.
the Xbox division at least.
And it's so like and again, you have, like, Microsoft, you have Windows, like, behind you.
Mhm.
I maybe they just I don't know the inner workings of that company, obviously, but, like, maybe they just don't invest all that much into, like, the Xbox brand, but that
Yeah,
seems crazy to me.
it is a little wild, and like I'm not a Xbox hater or fanboy. I love all
Sure.
consoles. Shout out the 360, one of the best consoles ever.
Yeah.
Um, it seems like, and Pat, I don't know how familiar you are with it. I don't want to insult your intelligence.
Hmm.
Do you remember like when the Xbox One was like announced and like people were like livid about it at all? Like, are you familiar with
Well,
that at all?
what the big part of it was, like, I remember there was a lot of uproar over, like, the built-in Connect, like, functionality, and,
That's
like, people
yeah,
didn't
that was
really like the Connect.
Yeah, that was one of the big gripes as well. Like when they were selling Xbox Ones, it came with a Connect and made it pricier and like you had to buy it.
Right.
But it was wild because when the Xbox 360 and PS3 were out, the 360 was considered the better console. It was
Right.
easier for developers to develop games for because the PS3 had a weird architecture, like a weird proprietary architecture, so it was kind of hard to
Mhm.
develop games for that. So the 360 was considered the better console. When the Xbox One and PS4 was announced, like Xbox One totally fumbled the bag because they were focusing on the Xbox One being like an entertainment, uh, like an all-in-one entertainment system, and they weren't focusing on the games. They were like, "Oh, you can watch
Right.
TV on this thing. Oh, you can hook it up into like your cable box and stream your movies or whatever." And they weren't
Mhm.
focusing
Mhm.
on the games. Meanwhile, the PlayStation 4 came out and, like, was showcasing, like, all the games you could play on it and whatsoever. So that's
Yeah.
when, the Xbox brand, like, really, like, took its big hit, And I feel like ever since then, Pat, it's just been a game of catch up for them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. It's like I don't know what it is about
Mhm.
them that prevents this. They do have a big parent company behind them, but I guess that doesn't mean too much if you don't have
Right,
like the vision. But
right.
I will say recently with, Game Pass and like the games that have been coming out recently on Game Pass, we have Claire Obscura Expedition 33. Um, uh, they have some other like first party ones. Avowed came out recently. They have some really good third and first party games that are launching like day one on Game Pass, and it's finally like upping that roster and showing the value of that.
Yeah.
So slowly but surely getting there. And I think with
Okay.
this handheld, we'll kind of see how it goes from there. I'm really excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
But I can't buy it because Mallory will bite my head off. So, so yeah.
I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair. I
Mm,
told Kim, like, the amount of consoles that we have is the amount we're going to own. So, like,
mhm.
if we get a new one, like, if I get a Switch 2, I have to get rid of one of the ones that I have.
Sure.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like, we just don't have the storage space
But it would
for
look so
more and
cool
more
on your
consoles.
shelf, bro.
I know, I know. We'll post the video of my little, like, video game bookshelf that Kim, uh, created as our, like, display piece,
Mhm.
on the Instagram, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I just okay, you know the story, Terry, but for our audience, um, when my wife and I got married, it was right around the time of our anniversary. It was our, at the time, 6th anniversary. So, I wanted to do something big as like a little joint, like anniversary/wedding present. I bought her a Steam Deck. I went out, I bought it, and it came in, and it came in like I want to say it was like 2 days after the wedding or something like that.
Mm,
And it had like just come out around that time. Like it was a
mhm.
pretty new console. Turns out she had bought one, herself. So now we have 2 Steam Decks, and we don't need 2. The 2 of
Right.
us are never gonna be, like, wanting to play the Steam Deck at the same time. We don't run into those issues, so, like,
Mhm.
I'm trying to convince Shots to buy it from me so
Mhm.
that I can free myself up to get another console down the road. That's ultimately Terry, that's what's stopping me from buying Switch 2. That's
Is that
what's
what it is?
stopping me right
The
now, you
Steam Deck
know?
staring you in the eyes like
"You don't
preventing
play
it?
me. You don't you you're not gonna buy another console if you don't play this one." Like,
Yeah, it was so funny, you buying her that, and she bought one for herself, like, a day or 2 prior. You just have
and
2.
well, not only that, but neither of us told each other because we wanted to surprise the other, and we're
Mhm.
just like, "Oh, yep. Now we have 2."
You guys are great. You guys are great. Hey, listen, what's better than one Steam Deck in the house, too? So,
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
if we're just talking numbers, man.
Right,
You
right.
got it. You got it. No, that's funny stuff, though.
Man. The other part of this announcement is obviously with all these handhelds, people are wondering what's Sony gonna do.
Mm,
Nothing's been confirmed, but Sony is heavily rumored to be announcing a handheld maybe at some point this year. Um,
yeah.
I again, so I think my big question becomes like it's the similar problem Nintendo's having where like are we now gonna have two consoles out at the same time? And like how are each company gonna manage those consoles? Like
Mhm.
it seems like the only way to do it now is to kind of just do what like the PS Vita was attempting to do. Like you just stream games from like the same like IP, like from the same what's the word I'm looking for?
Like the same, like, franchise game.
I no, I think it more like you want to be able to take a game on the go. Like, you want the
Mhm.
portability of the game, but you also want, like, the base home console for, like, the more powerful,
Sure.
like, games.
Yeah.
So, I think we're gonna get into a lot more streaming games versus, like,
Mhm.
physically owning them, and, you know, we're
Yeah.
just kind of getting into the downfall of physical media, which I
We
will
are. Yeah.
shout to the sky about for all
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's I like Xbox's approach to it right now with them teaming up with a third party and kind of
Yeah,
letting, they're giving their logo to it and like making the UI, but ultimately it's like it's ROG's machine.
right.
It's on them to like update it and like sell it and manufacture and all that. So I kind of like how they're doing it. But yeah, I am interested to see what Sony does because I don't see Sony teaming up with a third party. I see them
No.
making all of it themselves. And again, with the PS Vita, that that thing ultimately failed because you're developing a game. The idea of it was, you buy a game on your PS4 or PS3, and then you also own that game on your Vita. And obviously,
Right.
the Vita is playing like a lower resolution, a lower and less intense game. But the problem in that lied that the developer then had to make two different SKUs of that game, and
Yeah,
that's easier said than done. And then a lot of developers didn't want to do that down the line, so,
yeah,
that's where the Vita ultimately failed. So I don't know. And the PS5 is a very powerful console. So being able to, play that, which I'm assuming they just want to make PS5 into a handheld, and like that's the
yeah,
idea. I'm interested to see what that would look like. I mean, if the Switch 2 is any indication, Pat, like this thing like runs games pretty well,
right.
all things considered. So
It's like PS4 level, like, right?
yeah,
Like,
PS4
equivalent?
Pro, and some people are even saying like Xbox Series S level, which is like the
Okay.
lesser version of like the newer Xboxes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they have some kind of way, especially with their new like AI technology, to like downscale these games or like, play them at a lower resolution and the AI upscales it. I mean, we'll see. I'm interested to see what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's one thing about, Sony, I really like how their hardware looks. Like, it
Yeah.
always like, looks awesome, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm interested to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a PlayStation guy. We've talked about this before, so
Mhm.
I'm definitely interested to see what they come up with. But again, for me, I think we're very quick to release consoles without like a library or like a catalog to go along with it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't think I'm a release day guy anymore. I think we've
Yeah,
talked
and I
about that, but
I get that, especially with these games taking so long to make. They need to have like foresight, like, oh, we need to start this game 5 years ago and
yeah.
to start that. Would that tempt you at all though, Pat? Like a play if it was a PlayStation handheld that
Mhm.
just played PS5 games, maybe at like a lower resolution or something like that. But I know you're a handheld guy, so
Yeah. I mean, I for sure it would tempt me. I just like I said, I don't know if even now if PS5 has the library that like I would really be looking for.
sure.
Um I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. No, listen, I'll be blowing this money on video game consoles, so I'll have to
Right.
buy it behind Mallory's back. I told her that I pre-ordered the, like, Nintendo Switch 2 a week before it came in,
Oh.
and I mentioned it so offhand, like, I didn't even, like it was just like a passing in the wind. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we're getting groceries today. My Switch 2 comes in about a week," something like that, and she's like, "Wait, what?" I was
Wait,
like,
what's that second
"Yeah."
part?
Ah, no. It's like, "I thought you weren't buying more handhelds." And I'm like, "This I told you the Switch 2 was different. I need to buy the next Nintendo Switch." I won't buy any more Amber Nicks or Retroids right
Yeah,
now,
yeah. I think
but
that's
the
fair.
the Nintendo Switch 2 is different.
It's different.
Anyway, it's different. I'm excited to see what, PlayStation does come out with. We are living in a weird day and age, Pat. Like, the
Yeah.
consoles, they're getting more expensive instead of getting less expensive,
Mhm.
um, and it feels like less people are buying them now, so Sony and Microsoft are having to up the prices to, appease the shareholders and, recoup whatever money or whatever.
Yeah.
And for once, I don't know what the next console generation is gonna look like
Right.
with the PS4 and Xbox One. I kind of assumed like, oh, we're just going to get more powerful versions of these consoles, and we did. We're living in
Yeah.
a day and age of just iteration instead of like full scale different things, which
Mhm.
I'm fine with. I'm fine with just getting iterations of console. Switch 2 as an example, but you know, is a just a more powerful, more expensive PlayStation 6 and Xbox, whatever it's called, is that really going to move the needle for casual consumers and, even, more hardcore people when, when some people say like they don't even have the library to justify the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series right now. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's weird. It's
It's weird.
for
I could
sure
yap
weird.
about that all day though. So don't let me take up the
Yeah.
room.
There you go.
Anyway.
Um, yeah. Enough yapping about that. We're gonna take our first break, and then we're gonna come
Mhm.
back with a fun little game for Terry to play. Stay tuned.
Oh God, stay tuned.
Welcome back, Terry. Today we're talking about the popular HBO Max series, The Last of Us.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I thought it'd be fun because zombie movies have been such a big part of like the culture for such a long time. Like the zombie like idea of like a monster that's come from the undead. It's one of the most popular like horror franchises sort of thing that we've ever seen. So I
Mm.
wanted to test your knowledge of not only video game zombies, but movie and TV show zombies. I wanted to see how well you would do. So
Man,
today,
you always making me guess stuff, man. It can never be
today's
easy.
today's game is called Name That Zombie Franchise. Terry, I have 12 zombies from 12 different franchises. You have to tell me what franchise each zombie comes from.
All right.
How are you feeling before we get
Bad.
started?
Bad. I'm feeling very bad.
Actively bad.
I'm actively feeling awful. But
Okay, okay,
I I wouldn't say I'm a zombie expert, but
sure.
I feel like I could guess a couple.
Okay.
All right.
Um,
I'm gonna pull up the slides right here onto the screen, and I just see
y
blank slide, which is good.
perfect. Yeah, for our audio listeners, apologies. This is a very visual game, so
Yes. So
check
tune
out the
into the
video.
YouTube. Yes,
Yeah.
check out the video. It's a video streaming on Spotify, and check out the YouTube page as well if you want to, really be into this part.
Alright.
Yeah.
Terry, let's begin.
All right.
First zombie,
Oh, okay. Okay. Um Walking Dead,
yeah,
that's Sophie, right?
Sophia.
Sophia.
You don't have to get the
Nice.
name. You don't have to get
Okay.
the name by any
Okay,
means.
perfect.
So, yes,
Perfect.
this is Sophia from The Walking Dead. Very tragic,
Yes.
turn of events in season 2.
Mhm.
This is, like, the first, like, big time we see, like, a main character get bit and, like, turn,
That was kinda crazy. Yeah.
and the fact that it was, like, done to a child is
Mhm.
so, like, crazy.
The fact that she was in that barn that whole time too, like, during that
Oh,
thing was like, wow, she was just in there the whole
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Insane. Insane.
Alright, number 2.
Okay, this is from a movie with Bill
Mhm,
Murray. I
mhm,
don't I'm not gonna remember the movie's name though, that's the thing.
okay. If you can get, like, the other actors in it or, like, you know, I'll give you credit. I mean, obviously, you know it's Bill Murray.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and the movie came out kinda recently too, like, within the last, like, 5 years,
So
maybe?
the sequel came out recently.
Okay.
This movie was, like, 2000s.
Oh, okay. Um, hmm, the other actors.
Mhm.
Ch-
So Bill
Why
Murray,
did
this is a cameo that he shows up in
Right,
this movie.
right.
Um, he plays himself as a celebrity, and he tragically died. This is a comedy movie.
Yeah. Oh,
and
okay. Shaun of the Dead.
oh, you're so close. It is
Sa
Zombieland.
Zombieland. Ah,
Mhm.
right,
Uh,
right.
I love this movie. This movie is, I think, really, really ahead of its time in terms of like kind of commentary on like the zombie like craze at the time. But
Mhm.
this scene is particularly funny because again, Bill Murray is just showing up as a cameo of himself. Woody Harrelson's character, like loves Bill Murray. He shows up and like Bill Murray, like he accidentally kills him, and because they think he's a zombie, but he's not. He's just a guy. And so
Uh-huh.
then his last words, they're like, "Do you have any regrets?" And he's like, "Maybe Garfield." And he dies.
That's fantastic.
It's so good.
Zombieland too.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that makes
All
sense.
right. Number 3.
Oh, baby, come on. Don't
Mhm,
insult my
mhm,
intelligence, bro. What are we doing here? This is a bloater,
mhm.
from the Last of Us series.
That's
You
right.
know, very
That's right.
very harrowing and enemy that you do not wanna run into, and it is very stressful.
We will get into this when we talk about the show, but, like, the idea of a zombie, like, just getting, like, physically bigger from the infection and then, like, exploding
Mhm.
is truly terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a scary concept.
Crazy, and in the series, that thing was just wreaking havoc,
Mhm.
wreaking
Mhm.
havoc. Yeah, it's even more terrifying to run into them in the game, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Alright. Number 4.
Okay, this is from I Am Legend.
That's right,
Okay,
in case
cool.
you didn't get it.
The the Will Smith.
Mhm,
These
mhm.
were these people these guys were intelligent, right? Like,
So,
is that a
I
thing?
wanted to talk about this. So, I Am Legend, starring Will Smith. I think it came out in, like, 2007. It's based on a book.
Mhm,
But the weird thing is because, like, the, like, zombie genre was, like, building so much, they, like, made these guys more into zombies. In the book, they're vampires. They're not zombies.
what?
That's why, like, in the movie, like, I Am Legend, they can only come out at night because if they touch the sun, it burns them. They're
Okay,
vampires. But, like,
okay.
everybody associates these with zombies.
Okay, so in the movie, they're vampires as well.
Well, yes and no. They're presented as, like they're presented more as zombies, but in
Huh.
reality, they are vampires. Like, the public took them to be zombies,
Yeah.
but they are really vampires.
Huh.
But
Okay.
yeah, these guys, like, it seems like they are not intelligent, but over the course of the movie, you learn that, like, no, they are. And like Will Smith's character, like, traps one of them in his lab and he's like pulling blood from her to like test samples to like find a cure for them. And then this guy, like the alpha, shows up and Will Smith's character thinks like he's just out to like hunt him down because he's a human or whatever. And then it turns out no, they want to save her. Like, because from
Mm.
their perspective, this guy showed up, this, like,
Mhm.
monster guy showed up and kidnapped one of their people.
Mm.
It's such a weird, like, when you think about it, it's such a weird, like, twist on the trope because it's like, "Oh, like, Will Smith's character is the bad guy to these people."
Classic case of Americans thinking they're doing the right thing, and just, there's not. Who would have thought?
Would have thought.
Americans.
Alright, number
Interesting.
5.
Okay.
This is a
I'm
funky guy.
this is a funky guy.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm gonna increase him on my screen a little bit
Sure, sure.
on the outfeed. He's got something coming out of his head, definitely.
Mhm, mhm.
So this is from it looks like it's from a video game.
For
Is
sure.
that much true at least? Okay.
Yes.
Which one? It could be so many of them.
Mhm, mhm.
So many of them. So, okay, I'm gonna guess a couple. Um, just tell me if I'm wrong. Don't give me the answer right away.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess at least 3.
Sure.
My first guess would be this guy is from horror video game? Resident Evil.
That's right.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice, nice. I couldn't tell you which one though, but just the
Yeah.
Resident Evil
Yeah.
franchise.
Mhm, mhm. I really don't know much about Resident Evil, to be fair.
Mhm.
But I found this guy and I was like, "Oh, he looks crazy. I'm gonna include him in the slideshow."
Nice, nice. Good stuff. Yeah, it's giving that gross Resident Evil zombie aesthetic for sure. I too do not know too much about Resident Evil, so
But
I guess we
there's
can't.
like 12 of those games
There's
and like
so
as
many.
many movies.
Mhm.
It's honestly crazy.
Yeah, that's one of those classic franchises, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Classic.
Another one.
Okay, definitely an actor. So this is
Mhm.
from either a movie or TV series.
It is from a movie, I will tell you that.
A movie. Okay, this is giving the 28 Days Later franchise or 28
That's
years.
right.
Nice, nice, okay.
This is from 28 weeks later.
Weeks
Um,
later, okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen these movies, Terry, but
No.
this is probably like one of the most tragic slash horrific like scenes. This is like the main character from 28 Weeks Later, which is like the sequel. Um, his wife like turns
Mhm.
and he is like trying to say goodbye to her. His like kids are like watching like from like they have this little like clean room that like they're trying to like pull blood from her and stuff. Um, and then he like gives her a kiss goodbye, and then she tears his face and
Yee
turns him, and it's brutal. It's absolutely
Yeesh.
brutal.
Yeesh. Wasn't this the guy, like, didn't he in, like, the first movie or whatever, he was, like, running he, like, abandoned his family, like, in
Yes,
a
yes.
farm or something?
Mhm.
Yeah? Okay, okay. Kinda know what we're talking about. It's
Yeah.
Rumpelstiltskin from,
From Once Upon a Time. That's
Once
right.
Upon a Time. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't know you
Okay.
watched that show. Yeah.
Yeah, me and my mom and sister were, like, really into it for some
Yeah.
reason.
Kim and I
Yeah.
watched it, and we were like, "Oh my god, that's he's the guy from 28 Weeks Later."
It's
Okay.
him.
Next one.
This is giving this is giving
Kim thought you would know this immediately.
interesting.
It's obviously a video game.
It's obviously a video game. I wanna say Silent Hill, but it doesn't look as demonic as some of the Silent Hill creatures. Yeah, I think I don't think it's right. I don't feel confident about this one, but I
Mhm.
think I'm gonna say Prototype.
Okay, this is Left 4 Dead.
Left for Dead. Okay. Yep.
Mhm, mhm.
Left for Dead. That makes sense.
There were a
That makes
couple other
sense.
options, but Kim was confident you would get this one.
I didn't play Left for Dead really. That was like one of the,
Yeah,
big games back in the day. Big co-op multiplayer games, but I didn't have friends
yeah.
to play with, so,
Hmm.
you know. Okay, this is let me blow it up a little bit. Okay. What's this? Um, 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 I don't know if I feel confident about this either, but I don't feel not confident about it.
Sure,
Is
sure.
is she from Lollipop Chainsaw?
That's right.
Okay,
Lollipop
alright.
Chainsaw. I've never
Let's
heard of
go.
this, and Kim was like, "Oh, you have to include this."
Oh, it's so funny. The main it's very campy.
Yeah.
The main character is this, like, girl, I think she's a cheerleader as well,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
she carries around, like, the head of her, like, dead ex-boyfriend or whatever, but he's, like, still alive somehow, so they, like, talk to each other.
Oh,
It's really
God.
funny. It's really fu
Okay.
yeah, I I should check it out one day.
Yeah. Sweet.
Alright, I'm not gonna get this one. Uh, um, movie.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
giving movie.
It's giving movie.
But which one? It looks very campy. Looks like a campy zombie, I think. Yeah, so it's giving green. I wanna use the guess that I used before.
Mhm.
because Zombieland's off the table, and I don't know that many more like campy zombie movies. So I'm just gonna say Shaun of the Dead again.
Terry, you are so close. This is George Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
Darn it!
So it's funny because you were looking at the green thinking that meant camp. This is like
Mhm.
one of the first big zombie movies like ever.
Oh, okay, okay,
George Romero was very famous like horror director, and like this was arguably his like magnum opus. Like
okay.
this is the movie that all of their zombie movies kind of base themselves on.
Ah.
But
So
yeah,
he's just green because it was, like, early on trying to figure out, like, what
mhm,
zombies are. Okay.
yep,
Alright.
yep.
This come out in, like, the '80s? Is it
It might honestly be earlier. I can look that up quick.
Dawn of the Dead? Man, one of these are gonna actually be Shaun of the Dead too, and I'm gonna be so, like like, "It can't be that anymore," or
Right,
something.
1978.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
Cool stuff, cool stuff.
yeah. Next one.
Oh, no.
Go back to the well.
Oh, man. That is it. Okay, hold on, let me slow down. Let me slow down
Mhm,
before I just
mhm,
pull it out again
mhm.
because I want to. I want to. Um, I recognize that guy. I think the one who looks like he is the zombie.
Yep.
He's from something, from somewhere. I've seen him before.
Mhm.
If- Pat, is this Shaun of the Dead?
This is Shaun of the Dead, Terry.
Jesus Christ.
This is Shaun of the Dead. I had to put it in there.
I hate myself. I
So,
hate it.
Terry, have you seen Shaun of the Dead?
Like once or twice in, like, passing, I think. Like, it was one of those movies,
So
like, it was just on and I watched it.
yeah. It's so funny because you talk about, like, campiness and, like, truly, yes, like, very funny, like, zombie movie, but also genuinely, like, a ton of scary moments
Is
throughout.
there?
Yeah. There's this one
Yeah.
sequence where, um, the main character, I believe it's Simon Pegg, he, he's, like, going on, like, his way to work, and he's, like, this miserable guy or whatever, and he just kinda, like, goes through, like, on his, like, walk to work, and it shows, like, the neighborhood that he's in, like, all the cars driving by. They, like later in the movie, after the outbreak happens, he does the same walk to work, but he's just, like, oblivious to the fact that, like, the world has now gone through this, like, apocalyptic event,
Mhm,
and they're
mhm.
just, like, zombies walking around, and again, he's just, like, walking around like he doesn't notice anything, and it's so, like, funny, but also, like, weirdly, like, eerie and creepy.
Sure.
It's a really good movie.
Absolutely nice, like, juxtaposition, if that's the
Yeah.
right word for it
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Next.
Ah, okay, this looks familiar.
Mhm. I love this movie. I
Do you really?
genuinely love this movie, yeah. And it's and I think it's more niche.
Yeah.
I think it's
Like,
definitely more niche.
I remember this guy.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna remember the name of the movie.
I will give you a hint. Well, yeah. I'll give you a hint. There's a lot of promotional pictures where he is holding a bouquet of flowers.
Hmm. Is this the movie did this come out, like, semi recently? Like, within the last, like, 6, 7 years?
Um, Again, I will look it up. I wanna say it's like 2010s era. Yeah, 2013.
Mm. Does it have the word boyfriend in the title?
No, no, but you're on the right track. This is Warm Bodies.
Warm Bodies. Alright, yeah, I wouldn't have
Yeah.
guessed it, but yep,
This
yep.
so in this is like a zombie rom-com kind of. Um, so like he is a zombie. He's like he found this girl and he like falls in love with her and the
Mhm.
story is about, like, him gaining back his, like, humanity, like, through, like, the love connection that he has with this girl. It's actually a really sweet movie, but it's also,
Alright.
like, like a typical zombie, like, he's eating people's brains and stuff like that, like,
Sure, sure.
it's interesting.
One
It's
of
a good
Pat's
one.
favorite movies.
One of my favorite zombie movies, I'll
Okay,
clarify.
okay. Like, clarification.
Yeah. Last one.
Interesting. Not the
And we're getting
brains of the
niche.
chopsticks.
We're getting niche.
We are getting niche. I don't even know. I don't even know where to start with this one. The actress isn't familiar. The scene
No.
isn't familiar.
Does it give any
Um,
vibes, I guess?
she's eating brains with a with chopsticks.
Mhm, mhm.
So she's polite about it. She's
Right,
got she's got
right.
manners.
Yeah, right,
Um,
right.
vibes? It's kind
Would
of
it
giving
help if I
Twilight.
told you this was a series?
Uh, maybe TV show.
Yes, yes. Sorry, should have been clear about that.
No, you're good. You're good. Um, TV series where a girl eats brains with chopsticks. Can I get another hint?
This was on the CW.
Okay, so it's a bad show. Uh, huh.
The CW slander is crazy.
God, CW shows are so bad. But I know you're a fan of some of them, so I won't
I
talk
I was
about it
gonna
too
say,
much.
I mean, like, they can do good shows, but they just,
They
you
just don't.
know?
I don't know why they just don't, you know? Is this what's it called? Is this actually like a vampire show? Like, they're vampires in this series?
Um,
No, wait,
it
no, never mind.
it I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
tell
it's
me what
not
it is then.
about vampires. It is about zombies. Well, it's about
Mainly
specifically her.
I'm not good.
She's like a mortician,
Uh-huh.
but she's also a zombie
Jesus Christ.
in typical CW fashion.
Sure, of course, of course.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not gonna get it. So my throwaway guess is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, man, no. This is iZombie.
I Zombie.
Mhm. Mhm.
I Zombie. I like heard of that show once ever, I think,
Yeah.
and then it left my brain. Yeah.
That's honestly fair. That's honestly
Have you
fair.
have you watched this one?
No. But I know about it, like, again, like, she's a mortician. If she eats brains, she kind of sustains her, like, humanity,
Okay.
um, and that's kinda the extent of what I know.
Okay.
So,
Is this on your guys' list to like to watch it
no,
all? No.
no, not really. I mean, it could be. It's totally up our alley for, like, what we would watch,
It is. It
but
is.
no, it's not. It's not on the list.
Alright. Alright, so let me see. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I got 8 out of 12.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's
Not
pretty
bad.
good. That's
Not bad.
2/3, you know?
Not
I'll
bad.
take
See?
that.
I really messed up on mostly the movies. The movies, yeah, and then the
That's
one
fair.
Left for Dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But, you know,
You
not
know,
too bad. Not too
not too
bad.
bad. Not too bad.
Not bad at all. Absolutely.
Alright, we will be right back, and we will talk about The Last of Us Season 1.
Bomb bomb.
Ladies and germs, we are back to talk about The Last of Us Season 1.
I'm excited.
Harry, I would argue that this is HBO's most popular show since Game of Thrones.
Really, even above, House of the Dragon?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think way more people know about this than they do, House of the Dragon, and I think way more people are interested in this more than House of the
Mhm.
Dragon.
Yeah, it's got strong IP behind it for sure.
Yeah. Personally, for me, I think we're gonna go off on a little tangent about HBO quick. I
Mhm.
think HBO, like in Game of Thrones, you had what could have been the like most popular, greatest TV show of all time. And then you ruined it in the last 2 seasons, and you kind of ruined that whole IP for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, on top of that, like, George R. R. Martin's never finishing those books.
Yeah.
So, like, I just for a
It
lot of people, I think, like, what's the point of investing time in it?
Sure, and that it's again, more tangents. It really, like, puts a damper on, like, wanting to rewatch it too, because I watched all of it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'd love to, like, go back and rewatch it," but you're like, "Oh, but then there's the last season," and it's just
yeah.
like, that exists."
You just have to stop at season 6, like, the season 6 finale, and then you just have to make
Yeah.
up the rest.
Yeah.
Because it is crazy to me how the first 6 seasons are some of the best television that's ever been made,
Mhm.
and then just the instant downhill slam that is season 7 and season 8 even worse. Like, I don't know how you fumble I don't know how you fumble that,
How you fumble, like, the greatest TV ever. But you can. You
but
can.
apparently you can.
Apparently you can.
It's
So,
it's wild.
yeah, it's nice to get back to, like, some, like, intense HBO level,
Yeah,
quality programming for sure.
yeah. Um, a little fun fact for you. In an interview in 2012, um, Greg Nicotero, who was one of the head producers on The Walking Dead, said that HBO had passed on producing The Walking Dead because they
Wow.
said it was too dark and too violent for their audience, and they wanted, yeah, and they wanted them to tone down the violence.
What the heck, man?
So you have that. And then again, so that interview came out in 2012. I don't know exactly when they passed on The Walking Dead, like what year. But for context, the first season of Game of Thrones debuts in 2011.
Jesus Christ.
And you're kind of like, that's too dark, but Game of Thrones is fine.
Right, we're pushing kids out of windows and chopping fathers' heads off, like, that's cool, like, what are we doing?
Right. Right.
Right, and then, of course, fast forward and you got The Last of Us. It's like,
Right.
I think HBO is known for its, like, dark, more intense stuff now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
I truly think them passing on The Walking Dead and then The Walking Dead being this huge franchise is what made them turn around and go, "Oh, we really should have like a zombie franchise. What do we do? Where could we farm some IP? Enter The Last of Us."
Enter The Last of Us, yeah, absolutely.
Terry, there's so much I want to talk about with this show, but first, talk to me about your experience playing the first Last of Us game that season 1 is based on.
Sure. Yeah. So I first experienced The Last of Us kind of around when it first came out in 2013, I believe.
Mhm.
I was hanging out with my cousin in Michigan, and we rented it from the video game store, or like it was like a knockoff Blockbuster behind his house, and we rented it. And we played through the opening sequence, which is, you know, the modern day era or before the infection hits,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
like the Sarah stuff, she gets shot and all that happens. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
what am I watching right now? Because that was my first experience with the PS3. So before that, I was
Oh,
just playing
wow.
like PS2 games. Yeah. So like he had the PS3 and I went over his house and like saw him playing. I'm like, whoa, this is like next generation. Like I'm watching
Yeah.
a movie right now. This is crazy.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I watched him play through it a little bit. We didn't get too far into it. And then fast forward into 2020, I
Mhm.
believe. Um, I never played The Last of Us like personally, but once I got my PlayStation 5, Pat,
Mhm.
I played The Last of Us on it. It was kinda like one of the first games I played on my PS5 because it came with, like, a
Okay.
60 frames per second patch.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I played through The Last of Us 1 on there. I already knew, like, the story from, like, watching videos on it and it's one of the best games ever, so, of course, I watched a
Right.
million videos on it already. But I
Mhm.
played through the game, loved my time with it. It's a fun game to play, and it's a fun world to get through. It's that classic, like, zombie thing where, like, the zombies are your enemy, but the people are actually the most dangerous thing, the classic trope there. But,
Mhm.
it's a classic for a reason. It was such a good time, and, I'd love to talk about the second one, but that's for another
Yeah.
episode.
Right.
So,
Right.
but no, the first one is a classic for a reason.
Mhm.
The gameplay is just so it's such a slow-paced, like, drawn out, and it's like you're sneaking around everywhere, so it's really slow, and you gotta think about things, and, the level of violence, like, the way Joel just, like, kills people in that game,
Mhm.
and, like, has no mercy. You really think, like, "Damn, am I am I playing a good guy right now?"
Right.
Um,
Right.
especially with some of the choices towards the end, that question really amplifies. But that's my history with The Last of Us,
Yeah.
and then, of course, we watched the, season 1 recently. This is my first time watching it within the
Mhm.
past couple weeks, and yeah, these episodes are chunky episodes,
They
Pat.
they sure are, they sure are. I think the best way I can describe season 1 of The Last of Us is every episode feels like a movie,
Mhm.
and it feels like this, short, like, almost I'm trying to think of a good word. It feels like each individual episode's a movie, and, like, your culmination in, like, the last episode just kind of brings you to this critical point, um, in the story that you're so hooked at that point that, the last episode is so crazy.
Oh, dude, it's insane. It's insane. And like you said, each episode ends at a critical point, like where the game,
Mhm.
you can tell we're chapter by chapter what we're doing, and they end in such a point where you're dying to know where the next episode is going to start.
For sure.
I wouldn't say it ends too cliffhangery, but like
No.
just enough to, like, you really want to watch that next episode.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, and in the same vein, um, not that I don't want to make this sound like I didn't enjoy watching them, but like,
Mhm.
going into the episode, you're like, all right, let's sit down, let's get through
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
because, the world is dark, it's bleak.
Oh, for sure.
Comparing this to the Fallout TV show, like, the Fallout was violent and like all that stuff, but it had a humor to it, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it was satirical but with this, it's serious. It's
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
And yeah, it
Yeah,
was an experience.
there's a certain campiness to Fallout that this show is just like, we're not doing camp. We're not
Mhm.
having fun. These are people at the end of, like, humanity, and they're just struggling to hang on, and we're just gonna show you the bleakness that is,
No.
and it's I mean, it's gripping, it's
Oh, yeah,
entertaining,
I love it for it, like, absolutely, I wouldn't want it to be anything different, but it's just
right?
like, man, this is a watch. I gotta sit down and
Yeah,
this isn't a side watch that I can have open in another screen. It's like I gotta
yeah.
sit down and watch this. But yeah, no,
So
it's great stuff.
mhm. I kinda wanna go through, not episode by episode, but I guess, like, I have notes for, like, the big moments from the show, and I just kinda wanna
Mhm.
know your thoughts. So I for background, I never played The Last of Us. Terry keeps encouraging me to play it, and I might.
Yes,
And,
yes, you
I'm
should.
honestly I'm really thinking about it, especially we plan on doing an episode about season 2, so I'm really interested to see where the story goes. I haven't watched it yet. I've seen the first episode of season 2, but that's
Mhm,
about it. Um, but so to begin, I know I knew coming into this there were general things like I knew Joel lost his daughter.
mhm.
I knew he, like, adopts Ellie. I know she's, like, immune from the virus and that they want to use her as, like, a cure. I don't know anything outside of that walking into this series.
Okay.
So, watching the first episode, first of all, I think the first episode is one of, if not the best, like, day one outbreak, like, uh, scenes. Like, the way they
Mhm.
shot it was just so, like, visceral and real, and, like, you have Sarah, who just wants to celebrate her dad's birthday. She's going to her neighbor's house to, like, help, like, bake cake and stuff like that, and then the old lady turns, and then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, like, everything just starts going, like,
So
so
fast.
rapid fire after that,
Mhm.
and you as the viewer are just swept up in, like, the confusion and, like, the anxiety and, like, "Oh my god, like, what's happening?" Like, we don't
Mhm.
know. Um, ugh, when we get to the scene where Joel's daughter, Sarah, gets, like, she gets hurt when they're trying to escape in the car. He's, like, carrying her out. They're getting chased by the one zombie, and then the military guy shoots the zombie, and you're like, "Oh, thank God, like, they're gonna make it." The whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, "She's gonna, like, bleed out from this, like, injury she has."
Mhm.
And then the military guy turns and gets the order. Major spoilers for The Last of Us, by the way.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but when he turns the gun on them, you're
Mhm.
like, "Oh my god." Like, because
Yeah.
again, I thought she, like, turned into a like, I wanna say walker, but, like,
Mhm.
I
Right.
thought she, like I thought she turns into a zombie, and then when she gets taken out by the military, you're like, "Oh, no, it's
It's
way
harrowing.
worse."
It's harrowing, and it just that is such a pivotal moment, obviously, for Joel, but, like,
Yeah,
it puts into context, like, so many of his actions going forward and why he does
yeah,
what he does. Just that moment right there, like, just oh,
yeah,
it's episode 1, I think might be the best episode in season 1, just because of how much it established,
mhm,
how like, again, the anxiety, the crazy, the confusion of it all, and how it ends like it ends. Like, I think it's funny, we were talking about this a little before, like, playing the game and then, like, seeing this show, like, not take it shot for shot, but, like, you kinda know what's
yeah,
gonna happen. But it's
right,
like seeing the way this show handles it, like seeing a different version of it, is
mhm,
really cool. I think the actor, like Pedro Pascal, um,
mm,
I'm sorry, I don't know the actress that played his daughter, but, like, sh fantastic jobs.
yeah,
Fantastic, like, everyone,
yeah,
especially in episode 1. But yeah, so, like, that caught you off guard, like, how she actually
yeah.
died, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It And again, to your credit, I think the actors, like, had a lot of great chemistry throughout this whole show. They
Mhm.
casted this really well, but, like, Pedro Pascal, like, you feel his, like, desperation. Like,
Yeah.
he's just a guy trying to survive this chaotic, like, night, essentially,
Mhm.
um, and he's just trying to get his kid, like, home. He's just trying to get her to a safe spot, and it's his birthday,
Yeah.
and,
Oh.
like, you just it zombie media a lot of the time loves to do the trope, and we kind of talked about this during the game, but like the uh the idea that like humanity are the real monsters. This show does such a good job in not only showing that, but showing like again when we talk about the last episode of the series, you understand completely why Joel not only is all about trying to survive, but he also doesn't trust anybody else.
Mhm.
And they establish that from episode 1. There's a deep mistrust in other people, and you totally get it.
Yeah, it's deep, especially mistrust in, like, authority figures,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people who are supposed to keep you safe. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, one cool thing, like, I think this show does differently than the games is, like, it shows it's so creepy, but, like, when the infected turn, like, the fungus kinda, like, comes out of
Mhm.
their mouths, yo, and
Mhm.
it is
Mhm.
I don't think the games do that, but it's such a creepy visual, and it's
Yeah.
so cool, but it's just like,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
nasty. But yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because so then the next episode is where he meets Ellie for the first time. He finds out that she's immune. And you meet the Fireflies, and they're like the rebellion force against like the government. Um, the the character of Tess, who's like
Mhm.
Joel's like partner, kind of.
Right, partner, and then, like, there are implications that they're a little more romantic
Right,
than that. Right, right,
right.
but he wouldn't, like, admit to that.
Um, so she wants Joel to like take Ellie because she's been infected. And then you get that whole crazy scene of her like sacrificing herself to get them out of that one
Mhm,
building. And yeah, you see the infected, like you see the fungus like coming out of their mouth as he like kisses her so that she can like do the lighter to like blow the
mhm.
building up. It's so like visually, like just a deep sense of like creepy, like
Yeah.
you feel like almost like a second hand, like
Yeah, like,
like
it's
you,
the itching is, like, crawling in your
yeah,
body, and it's like, "Ugh, ugh."
yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a really cool scene, just the sacrifice of it all. I was wondering, did she get bit when the clickers were attacking them? Is
I don't, it's
I
not
assume that's when she got bit.
clear, but
Yeah.
yeah, I assume the same thing.
Mhm,
Um, but I don't know, it's weird because like it also implies that like she's bit before that,
mhm.
because like that's the whole reason she wants Joel to take Ellie. It's like I don't know, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I don't know
Um,
either.
but so Joel and Ellie start on their like nationwide quest to get Ellie to this doctor who is apparently going to help save humanity.
Mhm.
And then you meet Bill and Frank.
Yeah, oof, the Bill and Frank episode, man, we gotta talk about that one.
Terry, you just said episode 1 is the best episode of the season, and I disagree. I put it
I
at
forgot
number 2 just because Bill and Frank.
I forgot about Bill and Frank the Bill and Frank episode when I said that. Yeah, that one
Yeah.
might be the best, and yeah.
When we talked about every episode feeling like a movie, like truly the Bill and Frank episode is so cinematic. Like
Mhm.
you get to see these two guys fall in love with each other through a zombie apocalypse. It's this like glimmer of hope, and then like just the tragedy of like, hey, the reality is like we're not making it out of this apocalypse,
Yeah.
and they'd rather go together. And
Mhm.
it's so beautiful. It's
And
so heartwarming.
And the show didn't have to do that. Like, that's not how it
No,
happens in the games. Like, this
right.
was just like, "Hey, we're gonna, like, flex our storytelling muscles, our world building
Mhm.
muscles, and just, like, completely subvert expectations for this, like, one little s side like, a side it's based almost a side quest in
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
You have to do it, it's like a main part, but it's like, it doesn't take that long, and it's not this fleshed out. But yeah, dude, like, just talk about like again storytelling chops. I forget Bill. Yeah, Bill being this like loner, this like doomsday prepper who
Mhm.
was apparently super ready and super right about doomsday happening.
Right, right.
And then taking a chance on a stranger, finding out what
Mhm.
love is. Finally in the end of during the end of the world getting to like express his like sexuality when he wasn't like accepted for it during the like when the world wasn't ending. But it's a beautiful, such a beautiful episode. And it
Yeah.
was so like haunting once it like ended. Like you go through all of it, they do their like beautiful like suicide at the end, but they go
Yeah.
out on their own terms.
Yeah.
And then Joel and Ellie, they pop up at the end after all that has happened, and years have gone by
Right.
at this point. And then the ending scene with just like the window being open in their bedroom, and I think it was beautiful that the show never showed their bodies because I'm like, we don't need to see that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
know what happened.
Right.
But just like having that window open, and it's like it's it was a beautiful story during these end times, but it also showed, like, at the end of the day, they're all gonna die eventually, and, like, it's
Yeah.
not a fun world that they live in that they had to make that choice, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, I was gonna say I just looked up the cast really quick. Nick Offerman plays
Mhm.
Bill. Murray Bartlett plays Frank, and I mean, Murray Bartlett did great too, but Nick Offerman, like, just flexing his acting chops in this episode.
Mhm. The
Like,
funny guy, like, usually
yeah,
the straight funny guy, like, the dry
Ron
humor funny guy.
Swanson, like,
Ron Swanson, right.
it's so crazy to see him in this because, like, it it goes along with, like, the kind of like, the type of character he would play, but, like, it there's a twist on it that you're not
Mhm.
expecting, and it's such a good episode, and it
And it's so subtle too, like you said, like, that
mhm,
it's the type of person he plays, a little dry, a little, like,
yeah,
off, but there's, when they're, like, playing the piano, like, the piano scene, and it's just, like,
yeah,
there's a hint of, like, tenderness to him that, like,
mhm,
this side of him that he had to suppress for so long, and, he's finally allowed to, like, show it now.
yeah,
Uh, beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful episode. No.
Um, I do think so, again, I think this show does really well in not only casting, but, like, storytelling these, like we said, these, like, miniature movies with, like, these characters who you get so deeply invested in because after that, you follow that up with these couple episodes about Henry and Sam,
Right.
these
Mhm,
2 brothers who are, like, on the run from this, like, rebellion force, um, but, I mean, it's so like, the show does such a good job in really, like, enriching the story with the introduction of these guys. Like, you have little Sam, who he's deaf, he's the younger brother, he's talking to everybody with his little, like, dry erase board,
mhm,
um, and you fall in love with these guys as they're, like, with Joel and Ellie, and, like, they're kind of forming this little family, and, like, Ellie
mhm,
gets this little brother and Sam, and Joel kind of gets to mentor Henry on, like, how to be a protector, and, like, then Sam gets bit, and he doesn't tell anybody. And I know this one comes straight from the games too, because 'cause I've seen the clips, but he, like, attacks her. She first tries to cure him. She
right,
thinks
right,
her blood will work to cure him because,
mhm,
again, she has this immunity that, is this total, like, freak genetic thing that, like, nobody
mhm,
understands. So she tries to save him, and the tragedy comes in, they wake up the next morning, and he, like, attacks Ellie, and then Henry has to stop him, and there's
mhm,
only one way to do that,
yep,
and Henry can't live with himself after that. And so you're seeing Joel and Ellie, like, bond as they go through, like, and see these, like, tragedies unfold around them,
mhm,
but they're also, like, becoming more father and daughter because, like, they are now protecting each other from these tragedies, and Ellie saves Joel's life several times, like, and vice versa, and you get the sense of, like, the show is about family, but it's also about survival and, like, what you would do to protect your family,
mhm, and about, like, these,
and
these human moments that, like, show us in the darkest points of our lives and what got us there, the justification for those points, and what we do afterwards. Especially, I think with Henry, the reason he's on the run from this rebellion, he was an informant for the Fedra occupation there, which
Mhm,
got the leader of the rebellion killed. Um, and so his sister, the new leader of the rebellion, is like on
right,
a manhunt. She's like wasting all of the resources trying to
right,
find this one guy, like,
mhm,
because, she wants revenge. And,
right,
the question is brought up, like, why are we chasing this one guy? Like, we're
mhm,
wasting all of our resources. And then you find out that, Henry only, informed because he needed like leukemia treatments or something
right, right,
for Sam. He needed some kind of like
mhm,
medicine for Sam, and the only way to do it was to rat out. And then the guy he did rat out, while he was in jail awaiting trial or whatever, he told his sister like, "Hey, forgive Henry. Like, I wouldn't. I understand why he did this. and
Mhm.
then the sister is just like, "Yeah, no, forget that. We're gonna find him and kill him." So it's just like all these human elements with
Yeah.
which, if you were on one person's side or the other person's side, you're like, I understand
Yeah.
why they did that.
Mhm.
If you were in that situation, would you do the same thing? Um, it's there's in some ways there's no right or wrong,
Right.
but in coming up episodes, there's definitely like wrong. So
Well, and it's so funny you say that because, like, this whole show is a series of, like, and I'll talk about this later, but, like, trolley problems where, like, you have this situation where you have to make this difficult choice, and ultimately it comes down to is, do the ends justify the means? Like, do you save does Henry snitch on people to save Sam? He would. Does the sister of the rebellion leader sacrifice all their resources just to hunt Henry down? Yeah, she does because she wants revenge. It's all how people are connected to each other, and it's all about how those connections motivate you and what does that do to you as a person when it's the end of the world.
mhm. Yep, and it's at the end of the day, it's which justification is stronger than the other. So, they come
Right.
to a clash and it's just, whose mentality is stronger, I guess,
Yeah.
or who wins the
Yeah.
shootout.
This episode also, I think this does a lot to set up both Joel and Ellie's motivations. Like we just said, like Joel, um, Joel seeing Henry do what he has to do to protect Sam. Like you kind of see, like, throughout the series, they plant the seeds of, like, people are willing to do crazy things for the people they love.
Mhm,
Whereas, like, Ellie, her whole thing in this episode is like, I couldn't save Sam. I tried, I couldn't do it. I don't know how to do it on my own. Other people know how to take this, like, advantage that I've gotten and save people. So it sets up both of their motivations so well. And then when we get to the last episode, it just comes to a head because only one of them can get their way.
right,
But
right,
we will talk about that when we get there.
mhm.
Joel is then reunited with his brother Tommy. They have a beautiful reunion, and you kind of get to see how Tommy, his brother, gets to live after all these years of being estranged ever since Sarah's death. And Joel then is like, "Hey, man, I'm getting old. I can't, I can't take this kid any farther. Like, I'm not going to make it."
Mhm,
And Bella Ramsey, I think, in episode 6, not only for me proves any, like, naysayers wrong, but also, like, really shows off her acting chops. There's that one monologue she gives where she and Joel are fighting after she finds out that, like, he's trying to pawn her off to Tommy,
mhm,
and she says, like, "Everyone I've ever cared for has either died or left me, and then there's you."
mhm.
And it's such a powerful moment because, again, you have this girl who, like, when we got introduced to her in the 2nd episode, was, like, feral. Like,
Mhm.
she's more of, like, an animal than she is a person because she's been raised in this, like, barbaric culture, and this is, like, the only person she's ever seen who, like, survives.
Right.
And then you get the backstory with her in the next episode where, like, you see her in her life before Joel. She meets this girl, they're friends from, like, school, and then she gets bit, and then she dies. And it's the
Mhm.
first person that, like, she loses, and, like, again, like, and then you have Tess, and then you have, like, all these people, and you just she keeps losing people.
Nope.
And
Yep, yep.
Joel's the only one who, like, is with her throughout this, and, like, he hasn't died yet. He just keeps surviving.
Right,
He
yeah.
Joel finds a way to survive, and it's just, like, amazing to her.
Mhm.
And so it's the first time she's seen, like, stability in her life.
Yeah, first time that, like you said, someone survives, someone, like, fights back, someone, like, fights back against the world that they're living in.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
absolutely.
And then Terry. I like every episode is so good because then you get the episode where like Joel's like hurt, he gets taken out of commission,
Mhm.
and then you get the like cannibals and the
That's,
like
yeah, that's this is such a turning point, like, in the games as well as in the show too, like,
Mhm.
but J David, like, is a he's not a good person.
No,
He's
no.
a good villain, a good person you wanna
Yeah,
root against because
right.
like I said earlier, there are shades of gray to some of these villains, you know?
Mhm.
The lady, I forget her name, I think it was, like, Catherine or something, wanted to
Yeah.
hunt down Sam and Henry because,
Mhm.
her brother got killed because of them.
Right, right.
Other people wanna do things because things happen to them, so it's like,
Yep.
in some ways, you can relate. With
Mhm.
David, though,
True psychopath.
true psychopath, true evil,
Right.
and what's even worse, Pat, you look at his motivations as to why he wants to keep Ellie around, and
Mhm.
it's even worse when you like find out he was a teacher
Right,
before
right.
like the infection dropped or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just like, wow, this is an evil person.
Mhm. I
Um,
think one of my favorite tropes in, like, any post-apocalyptic, like, TV show or, like, anything is, like, what happens when you take a person who is, like, already bad, who's already, like, corrupted and, like, evil, and you put them in the setting where there are no rules?
yep.
And
Hmm.
this is David. Like, he becomes
Hmm.
this, like, cultish, like, type leader. Um, he's trying to do awful things to Ellie, and he's trying to convince her that, like, his way of living is the way that, like, they'll survive, and cannibalism's, like, one of the only ways you can sustain yourself once,
Hmm.
all the, like, wildlife and everything are gone, and yeah. But you get to see Ellie, like, truly rise up and fight back, and it's awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's
Like this is
awesome.
one of the first times you play as Ellie in the games. So
Mhm.
again, Joel's out of commission, and you have to go hunting for the deer in the games, and then you eventually get like kidnapped and all that. And
Right.
yeah, she grows into her own. Like she shows her like survival instincts and what
Mhm.
she's learned along the way. And yeah, it's such a glorifying moment for her and like what she can do, and what the trauma of what she just went through,
Yeah.
does to her as well. Like after, she kills David in the burning lodge area, and after what he like tried to do to her, she's like traumatized. She like walks
Yeah.
out of there
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's like, I can't believe that just happened to me. And she's like, hyperventilating. And then Joel
Mhm.
like finally like shows up and like, like tries to like comfort her. And then like she like freaks out. She's like, get off me.
Right.
And
Right.
then that really that's I think not I think, but that is like the part that really like cements that like father-daughter
Oh, yeah.
relationship because he's
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's when he finally says like, I got you, baby girl. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like, okay, this is where the relationship cements. So
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the moment he becomes like her dad.
yeah, no,
Like,
absolutely.
and, again, she's just gone through this traumatic event. She also, like, you see shades of, like, how, um I'll use the word again, like, feral, like, she can become, and I know, like, in the 2nd game, and I'm sure in the 2nd and eventually 3rd season, like, we'll see more of that side of Ellie, but
Hmm.
this is the first time that, like, you really see her, like, unleash herself on David once she finally gets her hands on him, and
Right.
barbaric, and again, you kind of think back to, like, this is how this kid, like, knows how to survive,
Hmm. Yeah, and
and so
this
then
is the world we
she
live in too.
right, right, so then she runs into Joel's arms, and he's someone there who can protect her,
Hmm.
and
Yep, I think it can't be understated too that like she saved Joel's life too, like just
yeah,
as
oh
much as
yeah,
like he's saving her. So it's like such a team effort between the two of them along this
yeah,
journey. If it wasn't for Ellie, once Joel got stabbed, like he would have been done
for
from
sure, for
either
sure,
infection or bleeding out. She stitched him
mhm,
up, she found medicine. So yeah, yeah.
yeah. So all of this is building towards this culmination, They get to Salt Lake City where the Firefly um, is, where they're bringing her to the hospital so that she can help save humanity with, like, they're gonna make a cure out of her blood. Um, they get knocked out. Joel wakes up in the hospital, and again, this is very close to how the games go, right?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty close.
Um, he wakes up in a hospital bed. Ellie's not with him, and so immediately, as soon as he wakes up, he's like, "What's going on? Like,
Mhm.
why? Where is Ellie? Why is she not with me? Why am I not with her?" And that's when um, Marlene and the Fireflies tell Joel that, like, "Hey, so Ellie is the cure for humanity. We're gonna make a antidote to this virus, like using her blood, but we can't. There's no way for her to survive the surgery."
Right.
And so, before we get into Joel's choice and the choice he makes after that, I
Mhm.
want to ask you, Terry, if Marlene and the other Fireflies like, if they would have just told Joel the reality of the situation from the beginning, do you think the story ends the same way?
That is a good question. I don't even know. Uh, I it's hard to say because
Yeah.
Ellie and Joel's relationship developed along the way. It was a long trip,
Yeah.
and they went through so much together. Maybe a little bit of honesty would have for both of them would have been, you know, informed some of their relationship. I don't know. And then at the end, they didn't even tell Ellie either that it's going
Right.
to like result in her death as well. Like she's not going to survive. So I mean, maybe that's a good question to ask. I've never even like considered
Yeah.
that myself.
I
Um,
I was thinking about this, and I like, again, I think Joel in the beginning would go along with the plan and just be like, "Okay, whatever." Like, because again, um he's so like demoralized from like the loss of his daughter, and he doesn't care about humanity anymore, really. But he, again, like you said, he develops this relationship with Ellie through the course of their journey across America. I think in the end, they wouldn't have even gone to Salt Lake City.
think so.
You know what I mean? Like, I think by the time they get through the encounter with David and the cannibals, like, I don't think he would have brought her there to even
Mhm,
have the option.
mhm.
You know what I mean?
Do you think do you think if Ellie would have known, like, from the beginning or whatsoever that it would result in her death, do you think she still would go along with it?
I think yes, and I think again, what tells me that is the episode with Henry and Sam. Because
Yeah.
again, her regret is she wasn't able to save Sam, even though in theory she should be able to,
Mhm.
but she doesn't know enough of like how to do it. So she has to she has to find a way. If she's the cure, I think she would be hell bent on making the cure more widely available.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's selfless enough as a person, even for how young she is, to
Mhm.
want to go through with it no matter what.
Now,
Absolutely.
that brings up an interesting uh, idea for me, because so we'll get through this quick. Joel finds out what they're doing, and he slaughters the Fireflies.
Mhm.
He just gained this new daughter, and again, fueled by the loss of his child and like his deep mistrust of authority, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to let you do this." And he goes in. He takes them all out. He takes out the surgeon. The
Mhm.
surgeon is gone.
Mhm.
Um, he grabs Ellie. He pulls her into the car. He Marlene confronts him at the very end, and he ends her as well.
Mhm.
And then he rides off with his daughter in the car.
Yep. Yep. I think it was such a good moment to just like while he's like slaughtering like all the fireflies, like
Mhm.
the audio kind of like deafens and there's just like a ringing, so like like the inside of like Joel's brain, like, he is tunnel visioned. He
Yeah.
doesn't care, like, he's just like, boom, boom, no thought about it, like, just pure violence, pure, like
Purely
yeah,
locked in.
absolutely, purely locked in. Um, it's again, I use this word a lot, but it's just, like, haunting. It's like,
Yeah.
man, this is not I do not know if this is a good person right now anymore.
So, and this is the kind of the crux of the debate of the whole season, right? Because then
Mhm.
Ellie wakes up and Joel's like, "Yeah, things went down when you were out. I had to get
Right,
you out of there."
right.
And she's like, "What do you mean things went down?" He's like, "There was a raid. It was crazy. I had to get you out of there. They're gone. And guess what? They're gone. None of them made it out. So we got to go." And I don't know what your interpretation of is of this, Terry. The way it's portrayed, at least in the show, immediately Ellie knows he's lying.
Mhm.
She doesn't know exactly what happened, but she knows he's lying. And you get this sense of like Ellie now doesn't trust Joel because he's lied to her.
Yep.
But Joel has just saved his daughter's life and he's not willing to lose her.
Mhm.
So you get this ultimate question of was Joel right?
It's the classic question since
The
the game
classic.
came out, right?
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
it's um it's
There
a
are several
debate.
questions I have, and I think the second game answers some of them, but I think from Joel's perspective, again, you have, well, how do we even know that these guys would have made a cure? Like, how do we know that it would have worked?
Mhm.
Um, he doesn't know that, certainly. So, I kind of put some stock in that. I also You said the thing earlier about Ellie being so young, and I think even if all parties in the matter were fully informed on what exactly was going to happen, there's this like ethic question that comes into this where like, yes, I understand it's the post-apocalypse. I get that. Ellie's a child.
Sure.
Ellie is what, 14?
Mhm.
I think canonically. Like,
I believe so, yeah.
can a child who's being like pressured by like the fireflies and like other people around her to like, hey, you're our only hope to save humanity, but you gotta die. Is it ethical to even ask her that question?
Yeah,
um is
that's a
is
great
she
question in
old
of
enough to
itself.
understand like the ramifications of that?
Mhm.
um and like if she's not capable of answering that, who is? Because like at the time Joel doesn't know her.
Right,
You have
right.
Tess, who, like, maybe could answer that, but Tess is also one of the adults pressuring her into it, so it's like,
Mhm.
is anyone really speaking on Ellie's behalf?
And, stripping that right to choose from her, though, is also, like, not right
Right,
as well,
right.
Joel stripping the right to choose away from her at the end,
Mhm,
um, the Fireflies stripping what's gonna happen to her and the right to
right.
choose from her as well is not right,
Mhm.
um, and it's again, it's this is not a pretty world we live in,
Yeah,
and these are not pretty choices that, these people have to make, it's not pretty what happened at the end, so,
right. Mhm,
where are ethics in a world that, like, doesn't care,
mhm.
It's crazy.
Terry, what, in your opinion, and I just want, like, a straight, like, yes or no from you. In your mind, does Joel make the right choice?
You just want a yes or no. Oh, man, it's
You
not
can
just a
explain
yes
it
or
for
no.
sure, but
Sure, sure. N
like, where on this argument, where on this spectrum of this argument do you fall? I guess is a better question.
Objectively, no. It's the trolley question.
Sure.
Maybe, if the cure would have worked, it's like the means maybe justify the end.
Mhm.
But I'm coming from it from a place where I'm not a father.
Sure.
I don't know what it's like to lose your child and then lose your child again. possibly
right,
for something that might not even work. So it's one of those questions where it's there's no right or wrong answer, and then you give an answer, and then on top of that answer, there's like, oh well, but if this,
mhm,
that, and that. So
right,
it's like
right,
objectively, no. um, and he's not the good guy at the end,
right,
and
right,
but again, I don't have the shades of a father and what it's like to like,
right,
have your daughter be taken again in front of you in a similar way, and they're stripping that choice away from Joel, and they're stripping.
yeah.
It's there's so many levels.
Yeah. I I also I'm not coming from this from the perspective of a father. I can't speak to that. I argue that given what I believe Joel knew, I think he made the right call.
You really?
100%. Again, I would imagine, and again, I don't know, maybe season 2 answers these questions for me. If Joel has no idea if this cure is going to work, if they're just like hedging their bets on this one doctor,
Hmm.
like, I'm at least questioning it. And if you're not giving me an opportunity to question it, you got to go down. You're not gonna because again, for me, it's such a permanent thing. Like you're ending Ellie's life where like we could give it a day. We could talk about it. Like I don't know if you explain it better, like, their informed consent, like, is a big
Sure.
thing in the medical world. Um, but, like, without that, I think Joel does the only thing he can do, the only rational thing he could do. Because again,
Yeah, I mean,
for me, it's like you you have this child who, yes, she has the cure to this disease. Do we know if that cure is, like, the most random genetic mutation you've ever seen? Do we know if um it can even be like if it can be duplicated? Like what there's so many things that like the two most important characters who would want and need to know this information don't know that like on such a rushed like timeline.
mhm,
Joel in my mind has no other choice to do what he
sure.
does.
Sure, in the heat of the moment,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, and the Fireflies, they didn't do right by them either. Again,
No.
withholding that information and just like stripping that choice from both Ellie and Joel. Like
Hmm.
if they would have told them and been upfront about it, maybe the situation would have been different.
Right.
Um, Again, I don't know. I can only go off of what happened
Hmm.
in the games, Pat. Like the situation does play out like that, but
Hmm.
you have a choice at the end, like, when Joel goes to, like, pick up Ellie, like, you don't have to, like, shoot the surgeon or the doctor, at the
Oh,
end, but the way The Last of Us 2 starts, the canon
right.
ending was Joel's shot. I think Joel just killed everybody, including
Yeah,
the doctors, so,
right.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wild stuff,
Now,
man.
yeah, I do think, and again, this kind of gets into what I know about The Last of Us too. Um, he should have taken out the nurses too. Like, leave no witnesses to
I
this.
know, right? I know.
If he would have done that, it would have been fine. But you know,
So many what ifs.
what goes around comes around.
What goes around
Uh,
comes around. Those golf clubs be swinging, man.
oh, buddy. Um, but so then the last thing, like I said, Ellie confronts Joel,
Mhm.
and she knows he's been lying to her. And she's like, one of the last things they say in the whole season is, "Promise me everything you've told me about the Fireflies is true." And Joel says, "I swear." And you now set these characters on a collision course.
Yep.
Like, and it's such, and again, it's so addicting. Like, it brings
Mhm.
you to this point of like, okay, well, like now this has to come to a head. Like,
Yep.
how does this affect their relationship moving forward? How does Ellie trust Joel? How does Joel convince Ellie of anything he's saying is for her benefit from now on? Like,
Right.
you know?
And Ellie's a smart girl. Like
Yeah.
she knows he's lying. She knows he's, like, viewing her as his, like, replacement daughter, and I think she's only choosing she's not I don't say she's choosing to believe Joel. She knows he's lying, but she's choosing just to go with it because, what else is there
Yeah,
to do now? Like,
right.
it's
She has no other
another choice.
proof to the contrary,
Mhm,
so you're kind of forced into believing him, but, like, you know he's lying about something
mhm, and
just
you
from
gave
the
him
way
another
he's
chance
acting,
to tell the truth, and he didn't, so
right?
it's not a pretty world they live in, man.
It's
It's
really
not
not. It's
not
very
camp
bleak.
for a reason. Very bleak, very very serious. I mean, but all in all, like I think this was a great adaptation. I'm curious to
Yeah,
see where season 2 ends. I don't know much about season 2, but I think I might have
yeah.
heard it ends a little differently than the games. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know exactly where it ends, but again, man, watching those episodes and knowing what's gonna happen, it's like, man, here we go again.
Yeah, yeah. I,
Yeah.
so I know season 3 has already been confirmed.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know where it goes. I don't know how far into the second game it goes. I imagine it's, like, about the halfway point. That seems to be logical.
Yeah, probably, yeah. See, Last of Us 2 is a long game,
Right.
and it comparing The Last of Us 1, the game versus the show, it's interesting because, again, with the game, it's so slow paced. You're
Yeah.
sneaking around, you're going through drawers to find ammo, versus the show where they have to kinda keep a pace,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
stay within like a time limit or whatnot. But I'm curious to see how season 2 will handle that because The Last of Us 2, in my opinion, is even slower the game wise than the first one.
Yeah.
So and the levels of violence in the second one is just like through the roof compared to the first one. Like Ellie's a monster. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm definitely interested to see where it goes from there. That will be the next thing that we talk about.
Mhm.
Overall, like I said, beautifully filmed, greatly
Oh yeah.
casted. The score is like creepy and it gives you everything you're looking for in like a zombie type show.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
definitely intrigues me. I really am like I might play the game. I might
Dude,
have to.
you really should, man. Yeah, you need to. Especially the first one.
Yeah.
If you get to the second one's a lot longer, so I understand if
Right.
you don't get to it, but like definitely play that first game. It's not super hard.
Mhm.
And it's a classic experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, get to
I
it.
I'll have to let you know. Hopefully, if I do play the game, it's before we come out with our next episode on
Mhm.
Last of Us Season 2.
2, baby.
Um, but Terry, any final thoughts on Last of Us Season 1?
This it was a great adaptation of a classic game. It's a bleak world, but it's meant
Mhm.
to be bleak, and it's even better for it. You are left with questions and morally ambiguous choices, that's the point. You're not supposed to feel good about some of the choices, and it's apparent. It's apparent. But
Yeah.
all in all, this was a really great. I'm glad we sat down to watch this. I
Yeah.
had a really great time, and it was really thrilling and gripping.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think, like I said, every single episode feels like its own little contained story. The episodes are long, but
Mhm.
it's worth the investment because by the time you get to the end, you're so enthralled with these characters that you just kind of you have to root for them even when they murder a bunch of people in a hospital.
Right. All right. Hey,
You know,
was it the right thing? I don't know.
time will tell.
Time will tell if
Time will
that was
tell.
the right choice and if we pay for our actions.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining us along this ride. We hope to see you again. Please join us for Last of Us Season 2 coming next time.
Bye.
Bye.